If you're interested in learning how I launched Zim Excellence, then you're in luck. Sign up for my podcast workshop and learn how it's easier and more affordable than ever to start a podcast. Also, grab yourself a copy of my podcast resource guide, which covers industry terminology, suggested tech setup, in addition to countless free online resources to support your podcast journey. Just head to wongai.com/podcast creation. That's wongai.com/podcast creation. The link will also be down in the show notes. Now, let's start the show. Welcome back. I don't know about you, but I'm ready for part 2.
Ben Mahaka called, says, call me back. And there's a number. So I'm like holding it and going, whoa. And my dad is like, hey, you, Ben Mahaka upu.
That's like, I guess, having like Tom Cruise call you or something. I don't know.
Or
Who
Denzel,
could be?
You know.
Yes, Denzel. Are you like Denzel called?
Denzel called him, and he says, call him back. So, you know, those days when parents used to lock the landline, and if you want to make a call, if it's really important, they would unlock it for you, right?
Yeah. So that was at my grandmother's house. It was locked.
My dad would lock it. So my dad goes, let me go get the keys from the bedroom. So I'm just standing there. I'm holding this little note, right? And he comes. He unlocks the phone, and he's like, call him.
He's gonna watch you on the phone. Goes, Dad, give me my space.
No, he did not leave. He was there. So I dialed. I'm like, can I speak to Ben? And Ben answered. He's like, hey Joe, let's meet on Tuesday. I really like this. Let's see what we can do. And I cut the phone. I'm like, and he's like, you were talking to him? Was that him? I'm like, yeah. He's like, what did he want? I'm like, he wants to turn my script into a movie. He's like, what does that mean? So he's showing. That was like his first time showing interest in this whole drama, as he called it. So he sits there, I'm explaining to him, and he's like, oh, really? I'm like, yeah. You know, so that became my first production to be made. It was a film called Bitter Pill, which Ben, he starred in and he directed. Tatenda starred in as well and produced, you know. And I could say, I think that began my career, to be honest. Because like from then, never looked back. And production was done, and then the icing on the cake, it then Ben then pushed it and sold it to DSTV, to Mnet, and there it was showing on Mnet. And I remember every time I recorded it off a VHS Mnet, right, and with the logo and all that showing the film. And every time someone would come to the house, I'll just play it and then pause where my name comes on the screen. Where you're like, see, you see?
That's so
you see,
dope.
we did that, you see? So that's sort of like...
That's like selling the film to like AT&T or like to Sky.
Yes, exactly.
For the international comparison.
Yeah. And it's like your first production, you know? So it's almost like, oh, wow, you know? And so from there, I don't think I've looked back at all. Then teamed up with Rufaro Kaseke. He's based in the UK now. So he sort of like we became like a tag team, you know, like he was producer, I was writer, director. I remember at the time I was reading a lot. I was so fascinated by Hollywood. I still am. I feel like that's like the holy grail of filmmaking. Yeah. So I was reading, I can't remember what the name of the book was, but it was explaining a lot about the star system and how to selling points and the film and all this.
The studio system.
Yes,
and
yeah. But then I'm reading about that in an environment where there are no studios. That doesn't exist here, right? We were working on this short film, like called Lobola, the one we actually turned into the feature film. So we're working on this short film. It was like 6 minutes with Rufaro. Rufaro is producing it and making it, and then we make it. And we were part of the Jabula church media team, and then people were showing it at church. People are loving it, and people are saying, "Turn it into a film, turn it into a movie." And I'm saying to Rufaro, because we were coming, I'd been assessing whether I should leave for good or stay, right? And the staying part was so hard because there's no industry. There was no industry to talk about, right? and assessing where we were coming from as an industry, like the way I saw it was almost like a sleeping giant where we had something going on back then it just sort of like not died, slept, right? So it was like dormant in a way. But where we were coming from is not what I wanted, because I felt like the era that we call the Zimbabwean industry boom, it was not really an industry. It wasn't commercial, right? So it wasn't sustainable, because it was almost like films were being made. Filmmaking was actually just being used as a tool to pass on information. There's a scare on HIV, inheritance laws, Let's spread the message to the masses. So they throw in money. Let's make Yellow Card. Let's make Everyone's Child. Let's make Neria, right? So the lot of the people that were part of that system, right, had been conditioned in that kind of filmmaking where they were waiting for the next donor to pump up money and then make something. And this was something I realized, right, where I was like, you know what, if I'm not going to be part of the waiting game, right, and wait. And my thinking was not even on that whole messaging type of filmmaking. Rufaro would call me Michael Bay then. He's like, you and your Michael Bay ones.
It's okay. I want to watch something blow up.
Yeah. So I was thinking commercially, and I was thinking, how are we going to do it? So I remember having a conversation with Rufaro and saying to him, dude, let's just follow this Hollywood model, right, for this production, right? And let's start by finding a star. Like the Hollywood uses a star system. So who are we going to use as a star to push this on? And I remember at the time, we had chosen Leroy Gopal, who was in South Africa at the time. He was in Yellow Card, the lead in Yellow Card. And I remember we even had a conversation on the phone and we spoke, but then it became to a scheduling issue where he wasn't available the time we wanted to shoot, and he was only available after like 8 months. And we were like, should we wait 8 months or should we find another star to ride on? This is when Big Brother, it just came on, Big Brother Africa, the TV series. And Munya just came back, Munya Chidzonga from Big Brother 3, and he was a hit, But Rufaro didn't know who he was because Rufaro didn't watch reality. So when I suggested him to Rufaro was like, who's that? so I'm like, no, dude, he's big. And I'm trying to convince Rufaro to say, no, Munya, this. We track down Munya, and then we book a meeting. The day we're meeting, right, we discover that Munya is actually finished his acting degree from AFDA. He's actually a filmmaker. And then we were just thinking of using him as a star card, right? That sort of like, that moment gave birth to us, the trio, me, Rufaro, and Munya. So we became like this force. We're like, you know what? We're sharing the same vision, same dream. And I think we went on to make like 4 films together, after that. It became like this whole roller coaster of activities, but like following up things to say, okay, the one thing that me and Rufaro we were always hungry for the next level, to say, okay, we've done this. What's the next level? How can we propel to the next level? Like, okay, fine. We've like when we did Lobola and the Gentleman, we're like, okay, let's see how we can explore other markets, how we can explore. And I've always been interested like in the Zim diasporas, And I remember we pushed like 2011. I think that was our first push where we pushed, and we were having these premieres in London for the films, right? And the response, was so encouraging to see, okay, dude, there's a market out there, because we knew that it's not just all about Zimbabwe. And when we did Lobola, and then we pushed it locally, commercially, and it was so successful. I think we pushed about 100,000 DVDs in a space of 2 months, And we're like, dude, this can actually happen. Because for us, it was like, film has to make sense. You have to sell one film to be able to make the next film, so that it's sustainable. Yeah. That's sort of like the push, which that I was trying to get on. But so that's sort of like been the journey of from film to film to film to film to film that we've been on since, I think this is like my 16th year in film.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah. Crazy.
Oh, that is so dope.org. Crazy. Yeah, there's something to be said about, there's this misconception. I think especially now with like Cook Off being on Netflix, people just assume that you just like make a movie, like let's make a movie and
let's go to Netflix.
You'll make money. but like that's not how it works. Yeah. People need to understand there are so many movies that don't make a lot of
Yes,
money.
millions
And then
and
they're
millions of
like,
films.
they're
Yeah,
also,
yeah,
like losing so much money, and you don't recoup back. And then there are also movies that are really good that just never get made, that
yeah,
never get
yeah,
greenlit. Or
yeah.
like I talk to Gideon about this, and I
Yes,
say being a writer is possibly more difficult than the life of an actor,
yeah,
because there's so much rejection, and people telling you rework this idea, it won't work for this market and this market. There's this funny video that I don't know if you saw it. It was on Twitter, where this lady said, "Hi, I'm going to teach you how to get your TV show greenlit in 3 simple steps." But like the joke wasn't, it wasn't the simple steps, and it like involved like, and now you have to wait for the producers to come back because they like to take long vacations. Or like, and
yeah,
now it has to be tested by Bryce in this Midwestern town.
yeah.
If Bryce doesn't like it, like you have to start it. Like
And
it
especially
was
especially
hilarious.
especially being a filmmaker here, right? I've had the privilege of going out and for like training, Europe, America, and
Yeah.
the challenge with that, and then coming back home and wanting to create here. I'm sure a lot of people that train out and then come back find the same challenge, where it's like you gave the good example of saying, oh, steps to get your TV, your show greenlit, find a producer is going to pitch the studio. And you get, we would be taught all this, right? But then you come in this environment and then you're like, okay, where's the studio? Where's the producer? So it doesn't,
Studio Ichi, like
yeah.
what is a
So you
studio?
end up having all this knowledge which doesn't apply in your environment. So that's something that's forced me to start wearing so many caps, where I was like,
Yeah.
it's either I leave. Like I remember me and my partner Rufaro, we were talking about this. We're at this moment where he decided to leave. He's like, dude, I know we've pushed, but he's like, let's leave, let's go. And we were actually having this conversation. We had already left. I remember we were in London then, right? And he's like, and we had not planned this, right? We had gone there for a premiere, we're pushing, and we were doing these film workshops and all that. And he was sitting in the hotel room, and he says to me, dude, let's not go back, right? I'm like, what do you mean? He's like, let's not go back. Like, let's stay. I'm like, why? He's like, dude, what's there? Like, we're just fighting and fighting to create stuff, but here where there's systems, we can be set, da, 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 da. And you almost convinced me, like, but it was in a way where I felt like the two of us had different visions, right? Where I saw it from a bigger picture angle, where I saw this as an opportunity, where you can be a shark in a fishbowl, or you can be a carpenter in a big ocean, right? And coming home to, I see the Zimbabwean film industry as almost like an uncut rough diamond, that's just waiting to be sharpened. And then the number of stories that we have here in Zim, man, like we haven't even scratched the surface, right? With the stories. And Rufaro decided to stay, right? And it was something I respected, and he's still there now. He's now in a film academic. I'll say, if he gets to listen to this, but like, yeah, he's finishing off his PhD in film. So we became almost like, so he's a film academic. I'm a film practitioner, and we were laughing it off the other day. I'm like, dude, being a professor in film, the next thing you'll be starting your own critic company of film critiquing, and
Yeah.
but he's enjoying it, and I'm happy for him. But it's almost been nice to watch ourselves succeed on two different poles, but in the same industry, and that journey, right? Like that hunger I keep talking about, like you mentioned with Cook-Off, right? It's almost like when Cook-Off happened, right? I just come back from this fellowship, from that YALI Mandela Washington Fellowship, and we had the opportunity to even meet the president then, Barack Obama. He kept hammering to us, right? The way Africa is perceived is our fault as filmmakers, right?
Yeah, it's true.
And I remember him saying, you know what, everyone, do you have a phone? Take out your phone, go on Google, type Africa, click on images. Boom. It's like, what do you see?
Yeah.
It's like, do you see any technology? Do you see any car? Do you see any building? Do you see any? None of that. Like, you see animals, valleys, and so that image and he even joked and said like America is a superpower because Hollywood in itself, it's propaganda. It's like it's something. It's a tool. Film is being used as a big tool, but commercially, right?
Yeah.
So that challenge in itself, like I was back in Zim, and on this zeal of like I wanna push for the positive narrative of Africa. It's my job, and there was this satisfaction to it of finding myself, because I'm sure you would attest to this, where us as artists, you're trying to find your voice. You're trying to find, okay, what am I about? And I felt that moment I'd found what I am about. I want to positively change the African narrative using myself as a filmmaker. And Thomas Brickhill, who's the writer and director of Cook-Off, he had been writing this script, right, for a while. And he had been sending me drafts like, oh, here's a script. What do you think? And sending him notes and all that. And then by the time I got here, that was the time when he wanted to start making it, and he was on his own, like he had no team, nothing, and he was pushing on his own. And I would just consult. He'd be calling me, asking me questions, and then this one day he just calls me up, like he's like, "Oh, let's meet up for a drink." So we go, we're sitting there, and he's like, "Dude, I'm calling your bluff, right?" So we've got these local Zimbabwean film groups where I'm always trying to push for collaboration. I'm like, guys, can we collaborate? Like, let's stop just inviting each other to premieres and then asking me what I think about your film. It's already done. So
to premieres.
Yeah, no, because you're inviting me at the end and then asking me what I think. But you could have sent me the script and I could have said something.
Yeah.
You know, what's he gonna change? It's done already, right? So he's like, I'm calling your bluff. Collaboration. You keep talking about it. Let's collaborate on this, right? And it was a project that came where I felt like it's a positive narrative. You know, it's like a different perspective to the usual Zimbabwe, Mugabe politics that people are used to. You know, so that was the beauty of that project, where, because I believe I feel like I'm on a path that's guided. Like I believe in God, right? And I believe God is a path for me, and He would throw people in your path. You know, where, like, because he's not going to come down and be like, oh, I'm helping you like this. But no.
I always say follow the clues.
Yes. And the clues are there.
Keep your eyes open and follow the clues.
And the clues. And it's also the thing about clues is that I call them opportunities. It's like grabbing that opportunity of a lifetime in the lifetime of the opportunity, because the lifetime can pass. Where you think of it later and be like, oh, that could have been my chance. So I don't want to do that. I don't want to wonder next week to be like, so I follow every clue, as you call it. Like if I feel like, this could be, and they usually all pay off, you know, where you're like, oh, okay, so this is the direction you want me to go. Let's go. Let's see what's there. Yeah. So it's
and sometimes it's not immediate.
Exactly.
Sometimes you realize years later that if you hadn't followed that clue, then the domino effect to this point wouldn't have happened.
Exactly. Yeah.
Well, what is your hope for the film industry in Zimbabwe, and how do you think that we can encourage our community to be a bit more supportive of like our endeavors and the creation of art?
I think
aside from financial.
Yeah, I hate that point. It's a very good question, eh? For me, first and foremost, I don't even like calling us an industry here. You know?
Okay.
I see it as a film community that's trying to become an industry, you know? And I feel like if we all sort of look at it like that, and then it would, in a way, put us in a mode of understanding that we're still building, still creating an industry, rather than, because you have players here that feel like it's an industry and they'll make something and think like it's the best thing since sliced bread, and you're thinking, not really, we're still going, we're still building, we're still learning, and just the eagerness to collaborate of even amongst us as players in the sector, to understand that film is a collaborative process. So here in Zimbabwe, it's a lot of one-man banding, you know, where people feel like it's a competition, like I have to compete and make something better than Joe. But I feel like that's like the wrong way of looking at it. And a lot of the times, like I'll tell you a funny story. So this one time, we just finished a shoot, and I think I had like a week to kill. So I was like, let me see if I can engage the community, find out who's shooting, and And I saw some guys that were shooting on Facebook, right? And I knew the director and the producer. So I hit them up. Hey, Wongai, I see you guys are working on a project. Where are you shooting? Can I pop in? And da da da. And you know what they say to me? It's unbelievable. And they were like, "No, you're competition, so you can't come to our set." And I'm like, "I'm your competition. Like, what are we competing for?" I'm not in any competition. I didn't know I was in a competition. And what was said about it, like, was then they invited me to this premiere for that film that they were shooting, right? And I remember I was sitting there with one of my good friends, Eric Witzgal, who's part of the guys at MMX. And we're sitting in there, and then Eric is going, "Oh, why didn't they come to us? I could have given them stuff for," because the sound was horrible, almost like camera sound, right? And then after the screening, so they're coming to me and like, "Oh, what did you think?" And bluntly, I just said the sound was horrible, right? And he looks at me, and I'm like, "If I'd come to your set on that day you were shooting, I've got so much sound gear that's even sitting in the office right now. I could have given you some stuff to use for sound, and this would have been better." Rather than asking me what do I think at your premiere. So it's that whole element of people. Every project, right? It's unique, it's new. I'm not gonna copy your project. It's your project. People need to understand that we can alone. You're not gonna go far. But if we're in Shona, if we come together, we'll push further. So for me, before we can even try and get the community and all the other people to come and believe in us or assist us, I feel like it's also ourselves. We need to lead by example first, then the other people will follow.
Because one person's light doesn't take away from your light.
Exactly.
You shine brighter together, y'all.
Exactly.
How have you been able to keep going when times are hard and you feel like giving up? And how are you able to sustain when you don't have a project to work on, or like you don't have the capital to then work on a project? Today is a great day to start your own podcast. Whether you have a message you want to share with the world, or you think, "Ooh, it could be fun to have my own talk show like one guy," getting started is easier than ever. Here at Zim Excellence, we use Buzzsprout, which is hands down the easiest, most affordable, and best way to launch, promote, and track your podcast. Start for free and list your show on directories like Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, and more within minutes. Podcasting isn't hard when you have the right partners, and the team at Buzzsprout is passionate about helping and teaching you to succeed. Just check out their YouTube videos. They are filled with tons of information. So join over 100,000 podcasters already using Buzzsprout to get their message out to the world. Sign up today using the link in the show notes, or go to wongai.com/podcast creation, and you'll get a $20 credit if you sign up for a paid plan. It also helps support the show. So go ahead, sign up for Buzzsprout, and keep me posted on your new podcast. Now back to the show.
That's interesting. So there's this.
We need some practical stuff for the listeners.
Yeah. So as an artist, right? That's like one of the hardest careers to survive as an artist, because like it can take time to pay off, right? And I've learned that, like I was saying to you, this is like my 16th year as a filmmaker, and this is all I do. I don't go to work. I don't work for anyone somewhere. I don't have piece jobs, that I do on the side. All I do is like wake up, eat, breathe film, right? So one thing I learned actually is, as an artist, you have to find something that you do either on the side to, I call it, to pay for the time for you to dream, right? Like, So for me, I've been fortunate enough that side hustle is still within the industry, because I'm a freelance DP. So it's like I get a lot of work. Like as a hired gun, as a DP, as a director, So I made efforts to learn trades, because I'm a director, writer, but now I can wear a producer hat. I studied cinematography as a way to say, you know what, this is something that, because you don't always get jobs to produce. but I can get jobs
Mm-hmm.
to DP. So that's what pays the bills for me, to be honest. The jobs that I'm hired for as a DP, and fortunate enough, like over time, been lucky where we get a lot of these outside jobs. Like I shoot a lot of stuff for CNN, for BBC, for Apple, So that's the stuff that pays for my time to dream. So you can do a bunch of jobs and then get enough money to say, okay, I'm good for the whole year. I'll be fine. I can dream.
And do you have any resources that you'd like to share for people who may be super excited about getting into filmmaking or the community here in Zimbabwe or just the industry outside of Zimbabwe, but they're not sure where to start? Where, aside from like doing the thing, as Ongole says, like what would you encourage them to go to? Are there any books, websites, podcasts, whatever, or like even communities here in Zimbabwe
I think right now it's actually very different from when we started dreaming and wanting to be filmmakers. Right now, I think like if you have an excuse, then you shouldn't even try to be, because
you don't want it enough.
Exactly, because like if you like, I've been watching. I watch these master classes a lot. Like they're online. Well, some of them you pay, some of them are free. But right now with YouTube, you could be a production designer. Like you can learn all you want to know about production design, about cinematography, about directing. So with the way the internet is sprouted now, there is no excuse. Like no excuse. It's different from when we started. I would read a lot of books, like physical books, right? But now you could just be listening to a podcast.
One
exactly right now. so I encourage people to find out as much as they can about whatever trade they are interested in. But the big challenge when you're starting out in film is that you have not. A lot of people just be like, I want to be in film, but then you're like, okay, what do you want to do in film? So the big challenge is finding out which department, which specialization do I want to fall under. So the best thing I would say is to learn as much as you can about the different departments, and then find out, okay, where do I fit in, which do I want? Because everyone wants to be the director, everyone wants to be the producer, but for you to get to that level, you pretty much have to come from the bottom. Like you have to know what goes on. For you to run a production, to be a producer, you have to know each and every department from level to level.
Be the production assistant.
Exactly. Work your way up. Like
that way, when you're on the set, you know how things are working and who to go to for different things.
I always laugh and tell this story of like what the time I was staying in Cape Town and making coffee. Like we were on this production where I would make 45 cups of coffee and tea, and I would have to remember. Like they just told me once, like, oh, one sugar, no tea, no milk, blah, blah, blah. And I remember this one time I messed up the DP's coffee, and he was this big white Afrikaner dude. So he grabbed, I hand him his coffee. He takes it, he drinks it, and he throws the cup at the wall, and he's like, "Who made this shit?" I was,
and this is the stuff that I don't endorse in the industry. Like that is abuse.
I was so scared, and I remember the AD just came and like, go make another cup and come back. And I walked away.
Yes.
And I walked away.
Oh,
but that's like learning the ropes. Like it's like appreciating the craft, appreciating all the stages. And now we pretty much have a disadvantage. I like to call it a disadvantage now, where it's kind of, like with like the emerging of like these, like cameras are now cheap. Like it's not like back in the day where you can just get a camera to shoot a film. Now you can get a DSLR, you can shoot with your phone. So there's not much gatekeeping, if I can call it that, where anyone can just wake up and be like, oh, I'm a film director, or I'm a film producer.
Yeah, web series were the beginning of like new media, and people thought Netflix was a web series. Basically.
You see? So the true art form of filmmaking, we're losing it, where people don't respect the craft anymore. And there's only a few people that like. It's like here, like when I'm working on a project, a lot of people say they actually say, oh, Joe is Hollywood, right? But I'm like, what do you mean I'm Hollywood? It's how it's done. like I always laugh it off. We're like, the way you do it, it's Hollywood. Like I had some guy come, we were shooting a scene at Chikurubi, and he's like, "Oh, these people, what are they doing? Are you Hollywood? Me, we just shoot the 2-3 of us." But it's like
Guerrilla filmmaking.
because there's a difference between thinking you're breaking a rule if you don't know it. You're just ignorant. Like you have to know something how it's done first, then you can say, okay, I can do it like this and break it because I already know the rule. So I'm a big believer. Like I call myself a student of the game. I'm still learning, and I will continue to learn.
Yes, forever
Forever and ever and
learning.
ever.
I'm the same way as a performer as well.
Yes.
So if there was like one YouTube channel or one book or one website or whatever resource that you would say, this is the one to go to, it is a must check out, what would it be? Or even a documentary.
So for years I've been on Film Contact. I don't know if you know it. For years, for young kids.
I don't.
So it's like filmcontact.com. So like they like post what's happening, like classes, workshops, and all that. And it's really, really helpful. One of my best documentaries you mentioned as a filmmaker is Side by Side. I don't know if you've seen it.
Have not.
It's amazing. It's almost like on the death of film. It's like film versus digital, and then it's narrated by Keanu Reeves, and it's got all these big directors talking about the emergence of like how digital is taking over film and the effect of that on the industry, and it's really amazing. Like that's something I would recommend people to watch and get like it's almost like a free insight into the world of film, you know.
That's dope. Yeah. Everyone go check out Film Connect, even if you're not in the industry, but you're curious, check it out and check out that documentary Side by Side. Okay, Joe, are you ready for our lightning round?
Let's do it.
First question, zodiac sign.
Libra.
Aha. I'm a Capricorn.
Okay.
Are you an early bird or a night owl?
Both.
Okay.
Yeah.
What was your favorite movie from this past year or award season?
This past year.
Yeah. My favorite movie of 2020 was Tiger Tail by Alan Yang. And I always mention this to people and not enough people have seen it. And I'm like, you don't understand. It's so good.
I have not seen that one.
Gotta check it out.
I watch a lot. I'm trying to think, what did I enjoy the most?
Oh, I watch a lot. We could compete.
What did I enjoy the most? I'll get back to you on that.
Okay. Yeah. Do you have like a favorite holiday? And by that, I mean like Christmas, Halloween, Valentine's Day is not a real holiday, but you know.
New Year.
Sweet. If you could have any superpower, what would it be?
Oh my God. Read people's minds.
Awesome. Mine is telepathy. But then I came up with a new one with Munya Chanetsa. I'm trying to remember what it was. Oh, it was like if a song was playing, I would instantly know what it was, especially because songs are sampled so much that I have moments where I'm listening to a song. Like I was listening to a song from like Motown the other day. I forget what it was called. Yeah. But like I heard something and I was like humming the thing because I was like, I've heard this in something. And I realized I'd heard it in like Kelly Rowland's Crown. But like I hear samples all the time and I'm like, this was sampled from this song, which was sampled from another song. Anyway, I'd love that to be my superpower.
Okay.
Do you have a favorite superhero or like universe? DC, Marvel, all the things. I'm a Marvel girl. I've actually been rewatching the films.
I think, yeah, I'm Marvel. My son is DC. We always fight over that. Yeah.
Have you managed to see Loki, by the way? I rewatched the films because Loki left out. Yeah.
I've started, yeah. My son has finished it, but I've started.
It left a hole in my heart.
Really?
The finale left me shook. Yeah, the finale, like the last couple minutes of the finale left me shook because it changes everything. So I was like, let me start all the movies again in timeline order so I have all the facts straight. Game changing. Yeah. Do you have a favorite film or TV director that you're like, yo, I love these dudes' films. I could watch them again and again. Mine's Scorsese.
Clint Eastwood.
Cool. Which film by?
I was actually watching the Meal in the morning with Bradley Cooper.
I actually haven't seen that.
It's amazing. It's nice. I really like.
My mom. Yeah.
I didn't even know it was on Netflix. because I'd been looking for it. Then I was like, so I'm scrolling. I'm like, oh, it's there. Yeah, that's nice.
Okay, I'm gonna check it out once we're done with this. So my mom apparently met Clint Eastwood because she used to work for national parks, and she used to get calls when people would location scout for movies in Zimbabwe, which I didn't know was a thing.
It was a thing.
And yeah, my mom was telling me all that, and I'm like, excuse me, we had an industry? And so she said she met Clint Eastwood, and I forget what the movie was that they were working on, but then she got my uncle, who since passed, he was an extra in the movie. So I guess he was the first actor in our family. Yeah, they were at Victoria Falls.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, when I look it up, I'll text it to you.
And I was like, what? I think I've heard about it. Because I know, I don't know if you know Steve Njagu. He's an actor.
Yes, he played the dad in Studio 263.
Yeah, he keeps talking about
legend.
Yes. Wasn't the film they're talking about? Isn't it something Lion with Meryl Streep and Robert Redford in it?
I forget. I'll look this up.
That could be the film.
Yeah. Can we bring more production back to Zimbabwe? Like, there are lots of like Hollywood projects filming in South Africa.
Yeah.
Just come next door. Exactly. We're cheaper.
It's
we have the same scenery.
All in time. Very soon.
Okay, soon. Favorite Zimbabwean musician?
My favorite Zimbabwean music. It could be a band, right?
Yes.
Mokumba.
Cool. And we listened to them earlier. Yeah. So Joe put me on, and I'm learning. Apparently they performed at the Apollo, and I'm a Harlem girl, so I now know.
Yeah.
Favorite Zimbabwean childhood snack?
Corn curls.
No, say what you were going to say about the band.
They've actually opened for Nas.
Oh, that's dope. See, he's putting us on.
Yeah. They should be on Zim Excellence.
I'm figuring I'll have to do some digging. Yeah. Okay, so your favorite Zim childhood snack is corn curls. Okay. Are you ready for the most controversial question of them all?
Oh, wow. Bring it on.
Mazoe orange versus Mazoe green.
Okay, so I'm going to say something very controversial again as an answer. So Mazoe orange used to be the best drink in the world until I don't know who at their company forced them to change the formula, the recipe or something, and now it's whack. So green will win.
Fancy cream soda.
Cream soda wins.
Okay. The next is a power statement which you fill out. It starts, I am Zim Excellence because blank.
I am Zim Excellence because I am positively pushing narratives that excel Zimbabwe.
Love it. Love it. If you could nominate someone for the award of Zim Excellence, who would it be?
For the award, and the award for Zim Excellence goes to my boy, Tongai Chirisa.
Woo! You are the second person to nominate him, which means he has to come now. He has to come. He's been nominated by you and Sibongile, and I want him on, and he's dope.
He has to come.
Tongai Chirisa, you've officially been nominated for the award of Zim Excellence by Joe Njagu.
Yeah.
And this is your second time being nominated.
So he can say no now.
Can you? Yeah, you got to pick up a girl's text messages when you have time, because he's booked and busy. So if you could nominate someone to come on this show, although you've kind of answered that.
Mokumba should come on this show.
Sweet. I have to do some homework, but we gonna figure it out.
I can hook you up with the manager to arrange it.
Dope.org. I live for this. Yeah, we gonna sort it out. I'm gonna go on, the podcast is gonna go on a mini hiatus, and I'm gonna make sure I have all my ducks in a row and I have all my recommendations lined up, but we gonna get this done. Joe, absolute pleasure. As we wrap up, I would love it if you could share a message with our listeners, as well as letting them know where they can continue to follow your journey. Oh, and also, if there's a place where we can stream or rent your movies, and if they're going to be available on Apple, Amazon, all of the things, like, to rent. We're trying to put some coins your way,
Yeah.
Put money back into this Zim community.
Nice.
Take it away, Joe.
Well, first, I'd like to thank each and every person that have taken their time to listen to me and Wongai. Thank you so much. Respect. And I think to follow up on what I'm doing, I have a website, www.joenjagufilms.com. I'm on social media, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, as Joe Njagu, on all of them. Our works, you can find our work. You can watch some of our films on Netflix. You can buy or rent on iTunes, on Apple. And also, we have Play Africa, which is our own, run by Nico Abote from Canada. He's a Zimbabwe. He's another one pushing for Zim excellence. So yeah, and thank you so much for the support that you guys have been giving us throughout. Really appreciate it. Please keep supporting us, and love, guys.
Joe, absolute pleasure. Thank you so much. We're going to make sure that all of the social media links, the resources mentioned, websites, all the good stuff is down in the show notes. Thank you for your time. I love your energy. We are on the same wavelength. I'd love to have you back again when the time aligns. And yeah, just have the best day.
Thank you. You too. Bless and stay safe in this crazy time.
Thank y'all so much for coming to the party. Majita tatenda siyabonga. Nah, for real. Thank you so much for tuning in to this week's episode of Zim Excellence. If you found value from this episode, please share it with a friend and go ahead and subscribe, rate, and review. If you send me a screenshot of your review, I'll make sure to give you a shout out on future episodes. Feel free to tag us on Instagram at Zim Excellence Podcast. And if you identify as Zimbabwean, I want to hear your story. So go ahead and email zimexcellencepodcast@gmail.com. Till then, have the best week and stay Zim Excellent.